Hello everybody, Razorblade Mango here, and this video has been something of a long time coming. As some of you might know, as I've mentioned in previous videos, I used to work at GameStop. I worked there for almost 2 years before I found a much better, much more high-paying full-time job. So that's cool. So I no longer work at GameStop anymore, but I've always wanted to do a video about GameStop. And I've been biding my time. I've been waiting for any kind of story to break where it would give me some kind of context or excuse to talk about GameStop and just, the overall culture behind it, the overall work, what you can expect going into work for them. So, thankfully, last week I finally got or this week actually, sorry, Saturday for me, that I finally got my break, my big break where I could finally talk about this. And thank God it came from one of my favorite sites to read from, Kotaku. Thank God. And this is a story broken by Jason Schreier, who said, "New GameStop program leads employees to lie to customers." And basically the gist of this article, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's a long-ass article, but I'll definitely link it in the description box so you can go read it on your own time and at your own pace. Basically, the gist of this article says that GameStop is encouraging its employees to lie to customers to discourage them from going into their store to strictly buy a new non-pre-ordered game. So they have this program in place called this, quote, circle of life, unquote. And it's basically gives like a percentage quota for each thing in their store. You got 4 things: pre-orders, reward card subscriptions, used game sales, and game trade-ins. So when someone walks in, for example, and wants to buy like just say the example they give is Yakuza 0, but I'm gonna be like a little newer. Someone walks in say on Tuesday and wants to buy a copy of Kingdom Hearts 2.8, which they did not pre-order. Now they will do their best. The employee at the front will do their best to encourage you to pre-order another game or to subscribe to their Power Up Rewards card, or like trading in games or anything like that. Because basically, they hate it when you buy a new game without pre-ordering it and without attaching anything else to it. And I remember when I used to work there that they really encouraged you to attach things to it. They encouraged you to attach a used game. They encouraged you to get them to sign up for the Power Up Rewards card, a basic or pro, preferably a pro. And I remember actually a slightly less gross version of this. I don't think they put as much pressure on me to do this as they do now, which, is not surprising at all. Let me get this out of the way. The fact that this story revolves around this, like, quote, circle of life program, and that GameStop is encouraging its employees to lie to customers and turn them away for buying a non-pre-ordered new game, that is not surprising whatsoever. It's not. Like when like one of my old GameStop coworkers linked me this story, I just was like, ha, what a shocker. So that's GameStop doing something sleazy. Wow, what a surprise. Now let me clear this up as well. I did not have a terrible time working at GameStop. I want to make that very clear. For the majority of it, especially in the beginning, I fucking loved it. Like, it wasn't until, like, I'd say maybe like the halfway point of my employment timeline, that I started to become really disillusioned with what I was doing, and I know I'm making this sound kind of dramatic, but me working at GameStop is a big reason why this channel exists in the first place. Like, if I wasn't working at GameStop, I probably would not have this channel, because this channel for me was an outlet to get some of my frustration and disgust out there for some of the really greedy shit that I saw working there. Like, whenever they would, I remember, like, one of the worst I'd ever seen was, like, the competitions they used to have, where if you pre-ordered, or if you pre-ordered, got the most pre-orders for copies of Star Wars Battlefront, or Mortal Kombat X, or Call of Duty, that you would get, like, some kind of reward. And it's basically, like, a way just for people to encourage them to hawk as many pre-orders as they can. And I remember, like, when I was very wide-eyed and bushy-tailed and naive, and I used to be like, oh, wow, I get a reward for encouraging people to pre-order Star Wars Battlefront? Oh my god, I better do that. I better get that reward. And I did. I admit, I hawked a lot of pre-orders for that game. I hawked a lot of pre-orders for the Mortal Kombat X Season Pass and all that. And when I finally realized why they did all of his promotions, I just felt gross. And that is, yeah, it's part of why I encourage people not to pre-order. Like, it's really like that, because here's where this ties into this, like, Circle of Life program. GameStop is a dying breed. Especially with the rise of digital storefronts, Amazon now getting into the game, where, especially if you're a Prime member, where they offer a pretty decent discount for new games. And even Best Buy, which Best Buy I think offers like a 20% discount on new games, and you don't even have to pre-order them to get that discount. But you got to pay, like, I think it's like $30-$40 a year. That's not bad. That's actually not bad. It's more expensive than their Power Up Pro rewards card thing, which only gives you, like, I think 10% off used games and a subscription to Game Informer, which, you know, not compared, it's more expensive, of course, for Amazon Prime and the Best Buy Gamer Club. But honestly, like, those other two rewards programs, they offer better stuff. So this is where GameStop is a dying breed. Also, they don't make squat on new non-pre-ordered product. Like, when I used to work there, the suits above would absolutely hate any time new consoles were coming out. Like, I started working there at the very beginning of the console generation, when the PS4 and the Xbox One started coming out. Now, I never worked those launches, because I was literally just starting. But I heard stories of, you know, people, like the district managers being all pissy that, you know, they didn't get any kind of, like, used games attached to it. Like, they do not make a lot of money from new non-pre-ordered product. Like, when you, like, this story has an example of when you walk in and buy a new copy that you didn't pre-order of Yakuza 0, they barely make anything off of that. So they're going to encourage you to, like, hey, you want to buy a used game? Hey, do you want to hawk this? Hey, do you want a membership here? Hey, do you want a used game? Hey, do you want this, like, geek item that we have? It's a common stereotype that, like, when you come in to GameStop and they, like, harass you with a bunch of stuff, there's a reason behind that. And it is irritating, I grant you. Like, going in, whenever I have to go in now to pick up, like, a collector's edition of something, I just feel like this is just a little, well, it's a little uncomfortable. And to be fair, I know what I'm getting myself into because duh, I used to work there. But still, it's like there's a reason why they hawk so much stuff at you, because they need that money from the pre-orders and the used games, because it makes them look good to the way higher ups. And this is why they've started to become more like Hot Topic, where they bring in t-shirts, they bring in, quote, geek novelty items. Ugh. And like I've even seen selfie sticks being sold there. I've seen, like, they have the Funko toys now that I'm just like, oh my god. What else have I seen? Action figures that aren't in their box, that they take out of their box to display, which defeats the whole point of a collector's item if you want it mint condition. And a bunch of other crap. They've really, I know games are still their big bread and butter, but it's like they recognize that they're dying out, and they really need to, like, just adapt. And I guess them trying to be like Hot Topic is adapting, but we already have Hot Topic. We already have, like, Spencer's Gifts and shit like that. We don't need GameStop to be like this big Hot Topic GameStop hybrid. It just sucks. It would just be stupid. So this is why they harass you. This is why they are encouraging you to buy all this extra shit that you just don't want to bother with. You just want to walk in and buy your new game. That's really just what you want to do. And this is why I tend to avoid GameStop if I can a lot of the time. Like I'll go to Target, I'll go to Best Buy, because they don't harass me with extra shit. They don't harass me like, hey, do you want to pre-order this? Hey, do you want a pre-owned game? Hey, do you want this? Like, they don't give a fuck. They got plenty of other shit they can sell. But GameStop? Oh, they live or die based on those used games and those pre-orders and the trade-ins and all that. Basically, like, the kind of customer that GameStop loves is a customer that will walk into their store, buy a used console, buy a bunch of used games, and then pre-order a bunch of games, sign up for their rewards membership, their pro specifically, and then once they've played those games, they come back and they trade them in, and they buy more used games, and they just buy used games, and they just buy used product, and they pre-order more. They do a bunch of crap, and then once they're done with those pre-ordered games, they come in and trade them in, and they get more used games, or they do more pre-orders. Like, if you've ever wanted to know what GameStop's ideal customer situation is, that circle of life, that is what that is. Like, in the form of customer transactions, that is what it is. So the fact that GameStop now, it's getting so bad to the point where the higher ups are, like, encouraging employees to stop people from buying completely new non-pre-ordered games and hardware, that's not surprising. And I've read a lot of the reports from the Reddit that they have on GameStop, and they're actually like giving tips. It's gotten so bad where, like, they need to give tips on how not to get fired. Where it's just like these really shady tactics, where GameStop is, like, incentivizing them and stuff like that. And that sucks, because retail sucks in general. Like, I've been in retail, and I never want to go back. Like, if I ever had to go back to retail, you'd have to drag me there, and I'd be kicking and screaming and scratching my nails on the floor to try to not to go back. Because, retail is so not my thing. And that's me. Like, I'm lucky that I don't need retail anymore. I'm very, very fortunate. Very lucky. But a lot of people out there aren't that lucky. Like, they need these jobs. And the fact that GameStop is just making their lives harder when they need GameStop in order to survive, in order to make money to move out or go to college or anything, or just have a part-time job to support their family, that sucks. I think that's fucking gross on GameStop's part. where when I was there, like, sure, you would get chewed out if you didn't meet a quota. And I feel like that's true with any retail job where, like, you need some form of quota. But the way GameStop did it, it's like you could potentially be fired for just doing your job. Like, if you just want to provide a quality experience for the customer, get them what they want, recommend something that they ask, that to me is like what you should be doing at GameStop. Like, if I was running GameStop, I would cut out all this other crap and I would just focus on games. Like downsize the stores, just focus on games. But that's not what GameStop is anymore. GameStop now wants you to hawk used games. They want you to hawk pre-orders. They want you to hawk used consoles or their credit card. Or, yes, they have a credit card that I get harassed about every fucking time I open my email. So they have a credit card. It's fucking useless. Don't ever buy the credit card. Take that from a former employee. Don't ever buy the credit card. They also have Cricket Wireless that they want you to do. Yes, they had a phone service through Cricket Wireless. And I hated having to do that because there were actual people that wanted to do it whenever they walked into the store. And it was an hours-long process. It was irritating, and it took forever because our system at the time was a piece of shit and ran like a fucking potato. So I hated it. Like the latter half of my experience working at GameStop, absolute fucking hatred. Like, I started to hate it. And part of this, like it was like some personal stuff and shit like that, but like a good chunk of it had to do with that circle of life crap where they like really started to push it towards like the latter half of my time working there, where you just had like managers coming in that was just all about, pleasing corporate, all about sucking their dick, all about this circle of life shit. And they didn't give a fuck about the customer. Let me tell you, like, they genuinely did not care. I'm not going to name names, of course, but I know plenty of higher-ups that did not give a fuck. Like, they've released, like, damage control statements where, like, the COO comes out and is like, oh, well, this behavior that Kotaku exposed, we find it disappointing, and we just want what's best for the customer. No, you fucking don't. No, you don't. You want what's best to please your publishers. You want what's best to please your investors. And I get that's part of any business, I guess, but the fact that, like, you turn customers away, GameStop, for not buying into your stupid, made-up circle of life bullshit, I find just fucked up. And the fact that it's gotten worse since I've left there, that people are losing their fucking jobs over this, fuck you. Just fuck you. From the bottom of my heart, GameStop. Fuck you. Anyway, that's my little rant on GameStop. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, everybody.